Hey everybody, it's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. This is take 2 of our time together. Apparently there's been a glitch in the interfaces going through social media, which tells us as broadcasters, you're not live, but tells all of you that we are live. So you gotta love the technical side of social media. So I'm gonna start again, and I'm still gonna take your questions, and we're just starting a little bit later, and I'll remove that other one shortly. So I just wanted to share this story. When I was a little boy, about 6 years old, growing up, we lived in Ohio, and we came to spend a few days with my grandfather in the Shenandoah Valley, Bridgewater, Virginia. And it's a big old 3-story Victorian home, and my Aunt Tat was my favorite. And so she took me aside one night. It's a rainy night in Virginia, kind of a soft rain. You can hear the crickets outside. They didn't have air conditioning in that time, so you could hear the crickets and the frogs and all of that, right? So she puts on this record called My Fair Lady. Now, I'd never heard of a Broadway musical, and my Aunt Tat was very worldly. She had lived in Paris. She'd lived in New York. It was like, wow, she knew all of these cool things. And she put it on, and she explained the whole story to me. And basically, I saw the musical through her eyes. Actually through my ears too, right? And I was dancing along, right? The rain in Spain and all of these things. It was a great night. I'm 6 years old. And I was so excited, but eventually you had to go to bed, and she was done. She had done the musical. And I remember waking up after my parents had gone to sleep in the other bed, and I went to the window. Again, the windows were open because it's not air conditioned. And I listened to the frogs and the crickets and the light rain going down the sides of the trees, that sound, you can hear it just falling off. And I said, I've got to remember this. Now, I don't know why I did that at that young of an age, but what I was doing was anchoring those feelings into my body. In fact, if I think about that now, I can still remember being in her bedroom and dancing with that. I can still see myself looking out. And those feelings are what we remember, and they come from us sharing stories. And so today, I just wanted to share with you that story selling is a lot of people saying, oh, you just have to tell your story. It's a compelling story because we'll remember the characters, we'll remember the scenes more than we're going to remember your features or your benefits. So make sure that you're going through and you're thinking about, how do I package this when I'm talking about a customer testimonial, or I'm talking about how one particular product changed my life. In fact, I'm going to do a live video later this week about a faucet. I was going to do it this morning, but it's too involved compared to all the things that I go through this morning. So look for that later in the week. But telling a story is so powerful, and most of us don't use it. We're still caught up in selling, features and benefits. And it's not so much your story as somebody else's story. That's what makes it interesting, right? So consider that. That's my tee up for you to be thinking about as you're talking about training, talking about selling this week. And ultimately, I want to know, what do you want me to talk about this morning? We have some questions, but if you're joining me live, why are you here? What can I help you with? Because I'm committed to making the world a better place from people working in retail. And that goes from all kinds of retailers, from the biggest to mediums to franchisees to small mom and pops to restaurants, you name it. There's just a lot of questions out there, and there's a lot of garbage out there of telling you how it'll never be the same. We're all getting coal for Christmas, and retail is, no one's ever going to shop again. And I can tell you with my clients, that's just not true. So there you go. So hi to all of you who came back and found me the next time. Thank you very much. Looks like they have got that problem fixed now, because I actually see your comments. I see we got several people on the line. And if you do me a favor and give me some hearts, give me some thumbs up. And if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you give me some applause, because the algorithms need that. Apparently, they weren't able to process that this morning. Travis, glad you're joining from South Carolina. Penny from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Hey, Cheryl, as always, here. Thank you so much. In Ohio, take 2. Very good. Jinky, watching from the Philippines. Sweet. Bonjour, LinkedIn user with no picture. Glad you're here. Alex, a lot less smoky. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest has been, it's just, and then California had an earthquake the other night. It's like, what's next? We still got another 3 months to go. My goodness. Hey, glad you're there from Indonesia. Kuku from Washington, D.C. Good morning, Jill from, can I say this right? Lidditz, Pennsylvania. That's good. Hey, Ralph, Crystal Cove. Nice. All right. Well, good. Well, I got people from all over the world. Thanks for finding me again. And again, if you have your questions, put them in today, and I will try to get back to them. So quick questions. And this will probably be a shorter broadcast because I don't have a lot of questions from you. All right, John. How often should you review your prices to ensure your items are optimally priced? You know, John, I always say start off with your best sellers, your 10, 20, and then do a quick Google search to see what they go for, see how in line you are. I don't think anybody's expecting that, a small one-off little store is going to have the same prices as an Amazon or Best Buy, but you better be in that same ballpark. So ultimately, I think it's something, especially if there's downtime, that's something you can give anybody. Doesn't matter how much training they've got, doesn't matter how long they've been with you, doesn't matter their position in your company, anybody, just say, do a Google search for, I don't know if you're in cookware, aluminum pot, 9-inch, and then just see what comes up, and then look at how you fit into that. Because I don't say you have to be the lowest, but I do think you need to know where you fit in that, because ultimately there's always going to be somebody cheaper than you, always. Tim says, should we be allowing customers know questions asked returns within a certain time frame? I think it's the way big box stores look at it, right? We've always refused to refund or change of mind. Are we just being stubborn? I believe maybe we need to get this sort of policy, but you have other thoughts on best practices? Also, how to avoid people borrowing things and getting the money back. So, Tim, you've encapsulated exactly the problem. Generous returns absolutely bring people back. Generous returns absolutely open yourselves to fraud, basically. I know that people brag online talking about they're getting married, and what they're supposed to do is go to a Best Buy and get the highest end, best equipment, film the video, and then just bring it back. I don't know that anyone's going to share those figures for us to say, oh my gosh, that's happening a lot. And, that used to be Nordstrom's policy until they realized that people were going in and using their designer gowns, they're $3,000 and $4,000, and they were doing that. And so they said this tag must be on if you're going to return it. And they had to get rid of that. And even LL Bean, I think it was, had to change their return policy, not saying you could return anything at any time for any reason. So it's a great question. I think there's a reasonableness that I would look for, Tim. If somebody just changes their mind, exchange is okay. But realistically, if I want to bring something back, your Visa and MasterCard agreements are going to require you to take them back. So the question is, how many sales are you losing by not having that policy where people could see it at the register? And doesn't mean they'll use it, just knowing that, oh, okay. It's like on my SalesRx online retail sales training program, we have a guarantee, which we're not going to let you use it for a month or a year and get your money back. But in 3 days, it's like if you change your mind, just like a car, hey, that's fine. I'm no big deal. And I think we've had one who's ended up doing it, but seeing it has probably made more sales for me. So does that make sense? I hope that helps. Peter says, we're coming into the holiday season. How do I hire good employees? So I think one of the examples that I'm using now in a lot of my virtual keynotes, which by the way, I can present around the world now, which I have never been able to do without getting on a plane. And when I spoke in Mauritius, I think it was 4 planes, 18 hours from New York over there. And then also when I spoke in New Zealand, those are terribly long and a lot of travel requirements, I put on you, like you got to pay me in a decent class of airplane to get there, et cetera. So I can do that anywhere. And one of the examples that I'm using in a lot of different ways, but I think it's going to work for you, Peter, is just remember, you have to have a different hat when you're interviewing. Most of us have this hat. Like this person comes in, nope. We want to just cut it down. Like, nope. And the problem is that really a new employee is a new plant, that you've got to take it and say, okay, so how would this fit into my garden? And how am I going to nurture it? And what do they bring? What are the strong points they bring? And then, what do I have to add to that? And then understanding that you got to water and fertilize it. That's training and that's encouragement. And so I would certainly start off that, understand how you look at interviewing. And then also, I think at the interview, understand that it's not just about them saying why you should hire me because I'm great. It's really a matter of them being able to hear from you why you're a great place. Why are you a wonderful place to work? Are you committed to helping them make their goals? Are you interested in making their day? And what do you do about that? Be specific. Don't just say we value every employee. You have to show it. Say, what have we done? These are the kind of things that we do. And then also when it comes to them about hiring, the key is always to do a question that says, can you give me a time in your previous job when you went out of your way for a customer? And then just shut up. Now, guys like me who talk a lot, we have to bite our tongue. Literally, I will bite my tongue at that point because I don't want to fill in the space. And there are people that need to really think about it, like, I don't know. Don't write them off. Don't prune. Just give them a minute. Probably no one in their life has ever asked that question. Oh, well, this one, and they'll hit it. They'll hit the story, and that's what you're waiting for, is for them to be able to access that. Now, if they say like, "Oh, I always give good customer service," that's the C answer. That's probably a fail answer to me, because I said a specific time you gave great customer service. And next month, we're launching a How to Hire Better and a seasonal sales training program that'll be out in October. So I hope you look for that. But also within SalesRx, there's a whole course on hiring smarter. So those of you in SalesRx, you just have to scroll down, and it's an addendum there that you can find at any time. But hiring is really so important because there's so many people out of work right now, especially those who worked in retail. You have a much higher caliber, but don't make the mistake of saying, "Oh, they work for X, therefore they're trained." No, that's just a different pot. You're still going to have to make sure they fit into your garden. So I hope that helps, Peter. John says, we have a social media presence. Do you think it's important to have a website for e-commerce to survive with a brick and mortar store? John, I think every store should have an e-commerce site. The reality is that realistically, several of you are going to be locked down in the next year because something is going to spring up in your community. I don't see the whole country being locked down. I don't see the whole states being locked down again. But we're seeing it happen again in Europe, certainly seeing it again in Australia. And without an e-com site, you are out of business. Yeah, you can do Facebook Live and you can have them call you and other things. But the reality is you should be able to get them to your website so that they can go through and purchase. If you're going to do social media or Instagram or even TikTok, if you're going to be doing those things and talking about it, they need to be able to go there, not call you. So I think every retailer, just a few years ago, I think it was 5 years ago, I said most small retailers don't need a website because those who do want to compete against Amazon. But I said also at that time, however, you do want to have a website so your own customers can buy from you. And it's the same here. You still want to be able to have a robust website that doesn't look like it's and there's several of you, I won't say the industry, but you've pretty much bought into somebody's one template. So you all have the exact same template and you look exactly the same, which isn't really compelling if there's other people in your market. So understand, it should be a compelling website. It should look like you. It should sound like you. And most importantly, it should be open and you monitor it and you send out orders immediately and you overcommit to being transparent and, hey, we've received your order. We'd love to have, you come into the store, but in the meantime, we're going to ship it out on Monday. And then after it ships, how did you like it, et cetera? Send us a picture, put it on Facebook, any of those kind of things would be great. All right, so that gets me to really the end of those questions. I didn't have many. There's so many people on here today. Thanks so much for staying with me. Let's see. Oh, Kathy, you were probably her favorite too. Oh, I'd love to believe that, but she was a great lady, and she was a teacher. She was a librarian in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. So there you go. And she did love what she did. Hey, Carla from Tane. I'm glad you're here from Mexico. Sweet. Let's see who else we got. Michaela, good morning. Glad you're here this morning. Buffalo, New York. We got Pittsburgh. Any questions for me? We got Sao Paulo. Dillard's blocks sell signals so customers cannot price check when shopping. Your thoughts? I have never heard of such a thing, Robert. And I don't know if that was really true. I would think that was probably out there. I know that I have a client who does a great job with Dillard's, and they talk about people being able to check things in stores. So I would double check that if that's not just a simple thing of, there's no cell phone service when you're in that big of a space. That certainly happens. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's really a truth. Oh, Wi-Fi, you mean? I don't think they block Wi-Fi. They may not offer Wi-Fi. That certainly could be possible. But Aaron, good to see you, dude. Get busy out there. All right. Alex, the hiring process and SalesX help you a lot in building a better team. That's always the case. And somebody else had asked me going through and saying, how do we promote both a website and and are in store. I think the point is that the days of saying they are separate have to end. Michael Zakor, who was on my podcast a few months ago, talked about how in China, Alibaba is trying to really make it one cart. So you go into the store, you can buy things, they can deliver them, they can make them there, they can ship them. It's one cart that follows you around, whether online or in store. That's where we should all be going, because nobody wants to have a separate site you have to log into, remember a password. It's on the app, it's on the website, in the store. So we're all trying to go to one. And ultimately in your head, you want to just think of there's one channel, that there's one customer that we need to get our heads around, not that there is an online and an in-store. But if you think of it as seamless, which is how do I train so that both are the same? A lot of big companies have just kicked the can down the street and said, oh, we don't have it, but we could ship it to you. Well, that's not really the same, because the customer's in the store. So why not try to sell what's in the store? Because the other thing is, I've watched people just say, no, I'll do it myself. And once they walk out of the store, your phone is going to beep or do something or cluck, and you're going to probably forget it. And so ultimately, you don't end up going back to that store's website. You end up going whatever's convenient. And we know that basically Amazon or Walmart or Target is a one click and I'm done. So simplicity around all of that, you've got to integrate exactly why somebody would use it, and then realize that's probably a separate marketing hat for now, but you want to always be thinking about how you connect them. Having online video chats where somebody can go through and be on your website, and you can actually be selling with them on the site, putting things in their cart for them. That's where we're going. That's certainly where we're going in apparel, but your margins have to be better to be able to do it. If you're I'm the lowest price, no frills, I have no employees, all of that, I think you're going to really be punished, because quite simply, it's all about convenience right now. We have money, but we don't have time. So whoever gets me convenience has got my money. All right, I'm just finishing up here. Robert, 4G is not Wi-Fi. 4G is cellular. So again, I hope that helps. Jason, what are the benefits of a franchise business? That goes both ways, Jason. I think I've met people who've gone through and somebody said, hey, you should franchise your business. And people sign up and they become a franchisor without understanding the basics of a franchise. The reason why someone buys a franchise is only one reason. You have a proven success formula. I was a CMO of It's a Grind Coffee. They were out of California, took it from startup to 133 locations before it was sold a couple of times. And the idea was, you're buying a system. You don't buy a franchise and say, but I'm going to do it different. You buy McDonald's and you're in. You're all in. I'm selling hamburgers and drinks. In fact, I'm selling more drinks than hamburgers. And that's all you do. You don't come to McDonald's and like, yeah, we think we want to do pizza and sell flowers. Like, no, it doesn't work the way. A franchise, you're buying in a really narrow, proven system. And that's duplicatable, meaning I can do it in Rome, Italy. I could do it in Rome, New York. Doesn't matter. That's what a franchise offers. And so if you're thinking of franchising, you have to have several other stores to prove that system works. And then you've got to be able to show how easy it is to follow that system. And then beyond that, and ultimately why I've had trouble with franchising is, some of the salespeople, I think, go through and sell to anybody who has a check instead of somebody who will follow a system. And now your brand is being determined by people who have no interest in supporting you. And that's really a bad place to be for a franchisor and a franchisee. So there you go. Karen, your videos have helped me stay enthusiastic and positive during this COVID nightmare. Thanks for all your help. Well, aren't you nice? That's great, Karen. The wrap up of this time together, because we're coming on 20 minutes, is just to remember that story selling is what people remember. That the more you can populate with characters, the more you understand how that works, the better. And if you're interested in learning more about story selling, you should check out salesrex.com. You can just go there. SalesRex starts at $195 a month for up to 5 users, where I can personally train your crew how to engage a stranger, discover the shopper, and yes, make a sale. There's plenty of things you can do to get videos. There's plenty of people you can go to, but I've been doing this for 26 years. I got the recipe. And you know what the good thing is? You don't have to go work on the recipe yourself. You can just buy it and make the same cake and go like, oh, that's all I have to do. And when you do it, you meet with success, and then you say, hey, I love my job. So if you're interested in doing that, certainly check out salesrx.com, and I hope you do that. But remember, ultimately, it's about creating a better experience for your customer. It's about really holding yourself to a higher level. Aaron, I'm going to hold you on that too, because at the end of the day, when you are creating a new business, which Aaron's building a 45-room hotel, I think it's 45 now, I'm not sure. You're going to be known not by the rooms, but by the people. And one of my first accounts, the Bay Shores Peninsula Hotel in Newport Beach, California, they're still #1 on TripAdvisor out of 400 different hotels in Southern California, which includes Ritz-Carlton and an awful lot of them in Orange County, because of the way people feel when they go there. And do you think that that's a mystery? No, because it's all trained. It's all trained exactly what happens on the phone, when they check in, when they check out, how we interact with people. And even though I've been away from them for a long time, it's exciting to see that when you get the culture right, and the customer is the most important thing, and when you're having a meeting, there's an empty chair with a customer that says, but what would they think about this? Your whole focus comes down to, how do I make their day better? Because people who feel they matter buy more. That's simple. All right. I'm not going to argue with Robert. It's fine. I get it. You've got an issue with them. That's fine. Aaron, in branding a hospitality experience, how do you blend the historic and nature in one icon? You should call me on that, Eric. Aaron. I'm not exactly sure for that, but we could probably talk about that in person. There you go. So remember, it's up to you. You don't have the luxury of a negative thought. I'm glad you joined me this morning. Think about your stories, populate them with characters, and I'll hopefully see you next week when on Saturdays I ask for 5 questions that I can answer, and then I do it for my 9 a.m. call in the morning. Thanks so much for joining me.